This video is going to cover pro shop items in the Totally Golf back office. We're going to go over how to create a sales inventory item or merchandise item. And then we're also going to go over how to create service and miscellaneous items such as green fee, range, cart, club repair, and other items in that category. So we're going to head over to the back office. You're going to find this under Cards, Pro Shop, and Items. Once again, that's Cards, Pro Shop, and Items. As you can see, we have our list auto-populates in here. Across the top here, we have item ID, description, class ID, category ID, subcategory ID, which is just drilling down the item, and then the type of item, which is what I spoke about, whether it's sales inventory or merchandise, and then your miscellaneous and service items. Over here we can search by item ID, description, class ID, category. We can essentially search through all these options through this window, typing in, or we could run to like class ID, click the drop down, and choose from our different class IDs. So if I were to choose merchandise here, it's going to populate alphabetically all of our merchandise items. If you click on an item, we're going to see that information populate, and we'll go over how to build that. If you delete that area and hit enter, it's going to take you back to all of your items. So we could sort by range, for instance, and we can see all our range balls here. So when you come in here, we're going to want to hit save. This will clear out our area, and we can start with the item ID. We used our old item IDs from our old POS system. You are welcome to start with the number 1 or 1000 or use your old item IDs. That's completely up to you. So for this reason, I'll go test and the number 1000. We're going to hit tab. It's going to allow us to fill in the rest of the information here. So we will call this one test merch. Our first selection here is the class ID. We click this little magnifying glass here. You're going to see all your options for class ID. Obviously I'm starting with a merchandise item. We're going to select merchandise. You will always see this prompt. Do you want to roll down the details of this class? Yes, we do. And then we're going to be able to choose our second option, which is the category ID. For this instance, let's just assume we're building a golf club. And then under subcategory ID, you have your different subcategories here. So these golf clubs, we're going to choose irons. Moving down here, include in rounds report. Obviously, we're not building a green fee, so we don't want to check that. Show in Pro Shop, yes, we always want that checked so that this item is made available in the Pro Shop. Show in Quick Menu, what this does is there's a Quick Menu box in your POS order screen. If you would like this item in there, we would need this box checked. It is a good idea. It's just another area in the order screen where your staff can look up individual items. Allow price override, what this is going to do is if you want the price to be able to be discounted or lowered from its original price that you set in here, we're going to need that checked. And the same holds true for disallow discount. So we could uncheck the allow price override, check the disallow discount, and it will have to be sold at the price you set it at. Showing events, we won't need non-returnable. If this is an item that you don't want to return, you could check that. Auto prompt price, where that box is just going to populate a box in the POS system that allows you to edit the price. Moving up, we have current cost, standard cost. Our unit of measure will default to each. and then when we assign a vendor, it's going to populate in this area. Points class we're not yet using. SO template we're not using. For site assignments, we always want to click this box, and this tab sites are the same thing. It's just a quick link to get you to this tab. So when we click site assignments, we do need to assign this to the Pro Shop so that it's available to sell in your POS terminal. So we always, for every item, want to click site assignments and check mark assigned. Moving up to prices here, if we click on the prices tab, we have our MSRP, our price that'll show up. So we'll label this at $199. This MSRP, that does show up on the label if you do populate this. So that is really the only place that this MSRP will show up. For Riverside here, we do not use the MSRP. And then under sell, if this is almost like a deactivation button. We always want to activate every item. But if this item we're not going to be able to purchase anymore, or something you'd want to eliminate, you could come back into the item, uncheck the sell box, and it would be unavailable for selling in your terminal. So two very important areas. Under prices, this box needs to be checked, and under sites, it does need to be checked for and assigned to the Pro Shop. Back to the prices tab. You see unit of measure is each, and then UPC code, which is this box here. If you do want to be able to scan this item and create a label, it does need a UPC code. We use the same numbers as our old ID numbers so that our item labels would match up. So for this instance, I will use the number 1000, and that number will generate a UPC code. Up to this ordering tab, this is where we're going to be able to assign a vendor, so vendor ID, and then vendor item ID. So if we click on this first box, you'll see these three little dots pop up. We're going to select that. Let's say that this item came from Cobra Golf. And then right below it, under vendor item ID, we do need some kind of number in there. I would suggest just labeling your vendors 1 through however many you have. So if it's 1 through 20 and Cobra was number 5, every time you use the vendor Cobra, you would place the number 5 in there. Be aware that you do have to have a vendor ID and a vendor item ID number in these two areas to be able to receive merchandise and sell this product. The default box here is if there were multiple vendors attached to one item, you would be able to choose which one you would want to default to, and you can switch that at any time. For this instance, there's only one vendor ID, so we're going to check the default box there. Moving down, under user defined, don't need to do anything in here. And then under accounting, these numbers are auto-populated based on your class ID. So these are the codes for merchandise. So when you change this class ID under accounting, these numbers will follow suit. So if this were a green fee, you would see your green fee account numbers in this area. Once you have all these areas completed, you can hit save, and you will see that that item is moved up into this area. There's one thing that is very important that I do need to touch on. If we go back into this test merchandise item we just went over, you'll see this type right here, which I did not touch on yet. When you go back into the item after you hit save, you cannot change this area. This is very important if you're building a non-merchandise item. So for our next item, if we're building a non-merchandise item, and let's, for this instance, call it range, and we're going to enter the description once again, class ID, we're going to choose driving range. Once again, do we want to roll down the details of this class? Yes. And we have two options here at Riverside, whether you're an annual range member or just our normal daily sales on the range. So back to that type here, you'll see you'll have three selections, and they're sales, inventory, service, and miscellaneous. It defaults to sales inventory, and like I spoke of earlier, if you were to hit save at this time, you cannot go back in here and change this type. It's very important that if you're building a non-merchandise item, that you change this to either a service or miscellaneous. For this instance, we use service at Riverside for our greens fee range and carts. You're welcome to use miscellaneous or label those according to how you want. But once again, I can't stress enough that if you are building a non-merchandise item or an inventory item, you do need to change this, and you only have one chance to change it. Once you hit save, this area cannot be edited, and you would have to delete the item and rebuild it. So I'll go through this driving range item. We're going to label it as a service. It's obviously not a round, so we're not going to include in the rounds report. Show in quick menu, we're going to allow our POS to have a quick link to it, and our employees to find it in there. Allow price override. If this is an item that you do want to be able to edit the price, that box will need to be checked. And the same holds true for disallow discount. If you want to sell this at the same rate every time and not allow a discount, we're going to check there. Once again, shown events, non-returnable, we don't need to check. We're going to head over to site assignments, assign it to the Pro Shop. Head up to prices. Let's say this is a $4 range bucket. Click on the sell button. This allows us to sell it once again. It's like an activation button. Head up to ordering. Once again, this is not a merchandise item. This is a service, so we do not need to assign a vendor ID to that item. Just to go back to that, only sales inventory items need a vendor ID. Moving down, user defined. Once again, we do not use accounting. You'll see that code changed to line up with our driving range GL code. So once you've completed all those areas and you're comfortable with it, you can hit save. And there we have our range ball SKU non-merchandise 2000. Like I said, I can go back in here, change pretty much anything other than the item ID and the type of service. If you were to create this non-inventory item and forget to change this type, so you created a range ball item that said sales inventory, you would need to delete this item and start over. So to show you what that looks like, we're going to delete, click yes. Remember that that item ID is still assigned with that that item ID is still in there, it's just deleted. So if I were to type non-merch 2000 and hit tab, it would actually prompt me, item has been deleted, would you like to restore this item? We could hit yes, but like I said, you still cannot change this type. So you do need to delete the item and use a brand new item ID for it so that you can start over. So non-merch 2001, and you'll see it gives you a blank slate, and you can change the type and start fresh. So those items don't disappear from the system, they're just deleted from obviously your POS terminal and deleted from this list here, but the item ID still does exist. So I'm going to delete this item, create one more sales inventory item. We'll call this one sales 1000. And we'll call this a sleeve of balls. Once again, we're going to move to class ID. Click on merchandise. This prompt will always pop up. We'll drill it down to balls. Subcategory ID, we don't have any for balls, so we can leave that blank. It's not a round. Show in quick menu. We're going to allow price override so that our staff can discount these balls if we have them on sale. These three buttons are completely up to you. shown events, non-returnable, auto prompt price. Those are all going to do certain things in the POS system. Site assignments, we always need to check this so that it shows up in your ProShop terminal. Moving up to prices, we're going to click sell. This sleeve costs us $9.99. Once again, the MSRP, if you'd like that to show up on your labels, you can enter that there. Up to ordering, we're going to find our vendor, which would be Titleist. And then we do need to populate that vendor item ID number. So for this instance, Titleist is number 4. And like I said, that is completely up to you. You can label your vendors 1 through 50 or 1 through 20, however many vendors you have. We're going to check this as the default vendor. And once you have all that in there, we can hit save. Once again, under type, if this is an inventory item, we're going to keep it there. But if this were non-inventory, this is the one time that you'll be able to change this area, and it is important to get that right. So we're going to hit save. Our new sleeve of balls is auto-populated at the top there. And you have those items created. So that's how to create ProShop items, whether they be sales, inventory, or a service or miscellaneous item.